Okay, we're in the middle of the sugya of getting drunk. Very geschmacka sugya. A sugya that the item are very excited to be Mekayim Mahadrin Mina Mahadrin. No colours over here. So last time we discussed the Indian in regards to what is the state of getting drunk? Why do we get drunk? What I want to do now is one of the shilas that a lot of the guys were asking was exactly how to become the mitzvah. Meaning, does it have to be dafka wine? Or can I use any alcoholic beverage? That is the shaila. So I say, if you look in the Gemara in Megillah Daf Zayin Amar Beis, the Gemara is mashma, the Rambam passes this way, many Rishonim, including the Rekeach and others, use the lotion of yayin, dafka, that when a person's mekayim is gevaldige mitzvah, which the Gemara brings down in Chayv Inish, is an obligation for a person to not know the difference between Haman and Mordechai, is lamaisa through yayin. That means wine. As is the psak of many of the Gedolei Rishonim as well. Comes along the Yesod V'Shorish V'Avoda, the Heilige Yesod V'Shorish V'Avoda Talmidei Agro, and he brings down any intoxicating beverage can be included. Lav dafka, do you have to use wine? Yes, of course, originally it was done with wine, with Esther, with Haman, the whole Mishnah, the whole Yain, everything was done through wine. That's true, but you don't have to do it through wine. And as always, the Psak L'Maisa of Moshe, this week's the Heilige Yutzat. Erev Purim Yud Gimel. So, L'Maisa of Moshe paskind that you don't have to dafka drink wine to be yotz the mitzvah. You can have anything that gets a person drunk, and as is mashma also in the Aruch HaShulchan, and as I paskin L'Maisa the Stipler Zatzal in Aruch HaShabenu, that you don't dafka need wine. You can have any intoxicating beverage. Now, next shaila Rabbi say. Shaila is like this. The shaila is, when a person gets drunk, so we'll talk a little bit about damaging, we have to discuss that today, damaging on Purim. We have to discuss a little bit about davening on Purim, when a person is drunk, just a small little snippets about these things. Again, like I told you in the beginning, we could discuss huge shiurim just on each and every subject of this, but just to get through, because we've got to get to, before we get to the Yom HaKudosh of Purim, we have to understand a little bit. First question is like this. Person gets drunk, and he misses Mariv. Or this year, for example, in Yerushalayim, you miss Lachadoidin, you miss Kabbalah Shabbos. These sorts of shyness, you miss Mariv, you miss benching. What's the din? How does it work? What's the pshat? Is the pshat like this? And this is a chakira. Okay, Lom the chakira, early in the morning, I understand. Lom the hasha, hold cop. Lom the chakira. Do we say like this? Right now, I have an obligation to get drunk. I have a chiyuv, so I have to get drunk. In an hour or two, I'm going to have to bench, I'm going to have Mariv, I'm going to have to do everything else. That's not my problem. Because right now I'm chayiv to go and get drunk. So I'm going to miss things later. Not my problem. I don't have to be worried about it now. That's side number one. Or do you say, I've only have a chayiv to get drunk, but of course if you know that you're going to miss something later on, you shouldn't get drunk, meaning you have to look in the future, lav dafka, where you're holding right now. That's the chakira. Zev, are you with me? Simple chakira, right? What would you say? Nasameh, what would you say? Do you have to be worried now, or do you have to be worried later? That's the shaila.
Don't worry.
Don't worry?
Don't worry.
So what do you have to do? What do you do? Later? Meaning you're worried about what now, and then you worry about later.
Don't worry.
What's going to be through what's happening now is not my problem.
Now I have
Oisib mitzvah, potter mitzvah, very nice. Okay, right now I'm oisig a mitzvah of getting drunk, so I'm potter and everything else. Yeah. That's very nice. I like that. Ben, Melech Kadosh. Gavaldik. I think you got a mention on the Daf Yomi. Anyway, you heard it? Okay. Morty, you got that one also. Okay.
Consistent mitzvahs are on top of the hierarchy.
Okay, so I want to give you, I don't know if there's a real answer to this shaila, but what I can give you is like this. I can give you two ma'amakamis to look up yourself. One is in 7 Reish Samaches with the Be'alacha. The shaila is like this. By Shemona Esra of Friday night, if you daven a very long Shemona Esra and you're going to miss Vayechulu with the tzibur, what do? Right? So again, there's a din of saying Vayechulu dafka b'tzibur. Okay, there's a shaila afterwards of making it up, saying it with someone else. Shaila, yeah, the Chazon Ish was very cholik on it, didn't like it, but upon him, you're meant to say it b'tzibur. Now, if I'm davening a long Shemona Esra on Friday night, I'm going to miss saying Vayechulu with the tzibur. Do I have an obligation to daven a quicker Shemona Esra, chaparine, get it over and done with, so that I can go along and say Vayichulu with the tzibur? It's basically our shaila. Am I right now in Shemona Esra? Leave me alone. I don't care what's going to be Vayichulu. What do you want from me? I'm davening Shemona Esra right now. Or do I say, no, hold on a minute. I'm davening Shemona Esra, but I'm going to miss Vayichulu, so chaparine, rush up Shemona Esra. We're not saying don't damage Shemini Esrog, we're saying daven it, but daven a bit quicker, so that you're able to get the Vaychoda with the tzibur. So the Be'alocha L'maisa wants to taina that there is an inyan for a person to daven a little bit faster so that he gets to Vaychoda with the tzibur. So you see from the Chofetz Chaim, from the Be'alocha, there is such an inyan for a person to be thinking, right? You see what's going to be. I'm going to miss it. I'm going to be late. I'm going to miss it with the tzibur. Daven a bit quicker, right? That's the Lashon of the Be'alocha. There is a Radvaz. We mentioned this Radvaz if you remember previously. The Be'alocha brings it Simon Tzadi. And that is, if a person has a choice when to daven, when should he daven? We spoke about this by the Heilige Tug of Purim, how choshev it is. The Yom HaPurim itself is a gavaldige day for davening, for tefillah, Tainis Esther, unbelievable, the Rosh, the Kafachayim, all the Ma'amakom spoke about already. But the Radvaz has a shaila. Whether a person, if he has a choice when to daven, should he daven when a tefillah, which is more choshev, or now? And the Ma'aseh Radvaz said, daven now. You have an opportunity, chaparayim a mitzvah. You have an opportunity, chaparayim. It's going to be better later. Not partly what's going to be a little bit later. Just worry about now. So according to this Radvaz, l'choyra would come out, I don't care what's going to be later, I'm going to miss Mariv, I'm going to miss Lachadoidi, I'm going to miss who knows what, because at the end of the day, I have an obligation right now to get drunk, so who cares about later? So this seems to be the Hakira over here in the sugya of whether or not I have to worry about now or whether or not I have to worry about later. If you look at the Lashon of the Rambam's Lashon in Perik Beis in Hilchos Megillah, where the Rambam says it's mashma that you drink, where the Rambam brings this down famously, that you drink up until you fall asleep. So they want to tie a pshat in the Rambam that maybe you could say that answers up the Hakira, because the Rambam said that what? That you should drink until you fall asleep. Once you fall asleep, it's over. It's over, you're out, gone. So of course you're going to miss Mariv, of course you're going to miss everything else. So mashma from the Rambam, that if you have a chiyuv to get drunk, I don't care what's going to be later. Right? Like a second sad, like the Radvaz, not like the Be'alocha and Reish Shamach. Others want to say, no. What do you mean? Maybe he benched before he fell asleep. Maybe he'll wake up later on. He'll went to sleep for half an hour, 25 minutes, and he'll wake up later. He'll have Marv and he'll bench and he'll be able to bench. So you don't have a raya from the Rambam in that Hakira over there. So the Hakira that I said, I don't know if it has an actual answer. But one thing we do know, and the Be'alocha says this very, very clearly in Hilchos Purim, where the Be'alocha says that if a person is going to be mezalzel in any mitzvah, doesn't make a difference what it is. He gives the example, even the Tilis Yadayim. If a person's going to be mezalzel in one mitzvah, then the whole thing's not worth it. The whole thing's not worth it. And therefore it comes out, from the Be'alocha would come out that to answer our Hakira, it would come out that you do have to be worried. Right? Obviously, in certain senses, I've got to be Mekayim the mitzvah as best as possible. So you can be mezalzel if a person knows, for example, the Be'alocha brings down that a person knows that he's going to curse people out, he's going to embarrass people, he's going to insult people, he's going to go around smashing things. Then he knows himself to do that. Then don't get drunk. Then obviously it's not for you. Being Mekayim the mitzvah in one of the ways that we mentioned previously, we mentioned about 8 or 9 or 10 or 11, I don't remember exactly already now, it's been a while, we mentioned all different ways of doing it, so you can Mekayim the mitzvah in that case, lav dafka. But again, like the Be'alocha said, as long as your kavana is for the Rabbeinu Shalom, it's for the Simchas HaMitzvah, v'chole v'chole. Moving on, damaging on Purim, very, very common shaila. What's the din of a person that damages on Purim? He's in the middle of the Simcha, he's in the middle of the Geshmak, middle of the Suda, he's mamash knocking away, and he damages something. Does he have to pay? Does he have a chiyuv to pay after Purim for that which he damaged on Purim? So it's a Gemara Sukkah Memhem and Aleph, where the Gemara Sukkah brings a fascinating idea. The Gemara says that at the end of the Yontiv of Sukkot, the Olam would grab people's esrogim, and they would basically eat them. And the reason they did that, it would show like the end of Yontiv, the Simcha, finishing Yontiv, it was Gavaldik, Memela, that's what they did. Comes along Tosfos, and Tosfos comes along and says, I don't understand. Isn't that stealing? I run over to somebody's esrog, I take it and I eat it, I just stole his esrog. In fact, Tosfos, what were they thinking? Tosfos says that you have to understand, whenever the damaging or the stealing was a chelik of the Simcha, you're potter. You don't have to pay. I say, Paskin Tosfos. That's Tosfos. Comes along the Rosh, and the Rosh has a different mahalach. And the Rosh says, no, they weren't taking somebody else's esrog avada, they were taking their own esrog. Chas v'sham, take somebody else's esrog. So the Rosh avada not. And he says, the Rosh, that if a person steals or damages somebody else's property, I don't care if it's machmas the simcha, avada you have to pay. So we have lemaisa, a machlokes between Tosfos and the Rosh. in the Gemara in Sukkah. Does a person have a chiyuv to pay for damaging something while he's being mesameach, while he's doing simcha shel mitzvah? I'll give an example. I was sitting once in the Beis Harah together with a guy and I got to a B'zil Obach Shlita, and somebody came in with the following shaila. It was Simchas Torah. It was just after Simchas Torah. It was after Sukkos. Somebody came in and he said that the Chosen Torah was called up. Chosen Torah. You put up the talisim over there. The olim are crowding around, singing. It's feilich. It's kavaldik. It's exciting. And the guy, the Chosen Torah, he was sweating, and it was pushed dripping down, dripping down, and it fell on the oisius of the Sefer Torah, and it got all smudged, and 2 letters got connected, which is obviously a shaila. And they had to fix it, and it cost money. It's called a sefer in. It's a whole geschäft. Does he have to pay? Does he have to pay or not? I know. Right? Now, question number 1. Question number 2 was a fellow was holding the Sefer Torah for a very, very long time. I think it was even, I don't know, he borrowed it from somebody else. Basically, he was holding it. There was no one else really holding the Sefer Torah. And he was holding it tight, mamish, the ganze Simchas Torah. He was mamish dancing, holding the Sefer Torah. It was moedik. It was gavaldik. The dveikus, it was moedik. Aber, after Simchas Torah, they open up the Sefer Torah, and they find that in the area where his arms were, was I guess the gartel was right there, and it caused it to get tight, and it smudged 2 letters. Boom, they had to get fixed. Who has to pay? Do you have a chiyuv to pay? It's basically nichlal in our shaila. That's what B'zul Obach told me. It's nichlal in this shaila of whether or not, as Tosfos or the Rosh, are you chayiv to pay for damaging something when you're damaging it machmas the simcha during the simcha itself. L'maisa. The Ramah paskins like Tosfos, and the Ramah says if the minig is that way and you accidentally damage something while you're being oisik in the simcha avada your potter, and as I paskin the Ramah comes along the Aruch HaShulchan and says this whole halacha is not negeya. It's not negeya. What does it mean damaging machmas the simcha? It doesn't mean that if a person is standing on a chair screaming and shouting and the chair collapses, that's not machmas the simcha. Stam, he's being a pesheya. He's stepping on a plastic chair that he shouldn't be doing that, and he broke it. That's not called machmas the simcha. The person is angry when he gets drunk, which I've seen myself with my own eyes, and he takes a glass mezuzah case and smashes it with his fist. I saw this with my own eyes. Right? If someone does that, I'm machmas the simcha, so I'm potter. That's not machmas the simcha. You're not potter in such a case. Right? Machmas the simcha means, and the Aruch HaShulchan holds it's not a geya b'chlal nowadays, is that whatever you're doing because of the simcha of Purim, that you're being oisik mamish in the midst of simcha, and through that you're being damaging something else, then I hear. But stam, you were pesheya, you were negligent, and you broke something while it happened to be the Purim Suda, doesn't make you potter. So it comes out that a person has to be very, very careful when it comes to Purim to make sure that he doesn't damage anything else, because in most cases it's going to come out that he's going to be chayiv to pay. Another very thing, I have to mention this, is the Heilige Chassam Sofer. Ibn Pinchas brings this down. Pinchas Mekaritza, but the Ma'aseh Chassam Sofer says a moedik azach. Why do we have 2 days of Purim? It's a Megillah. So Megillah, Gemara brings it, L'Halacha L'Maisa, we paskin that way. There's 2 days, meaning, are you in a walled city or you're not in a walled city? So maybe tomorrow we'll discuss a little bit about the traveling Inyan, people that travel from one to the other. Very, very complicated shaylas. But al kaponim, we know there are 2 be'atzim days of Purim. There's a Yudalid and there's a Tezvav. True, most of the world keeps Yudalid. Chutz La'aretz and many places in Eretz Yisrael are keeping Yudalid because they don't have a wall that was walled from the time of Yeshua ben Nun. Or in Yerushalayim we keep Tezvav, and many places similar to Yerushalayim, in Yerushalayim, near Yerushalayim, to see Yerushalayim, whatever it may be, also keep Tezvav for the same reason. Al kaponim, there are 2 days of Purim. Why? Why are there 2 days of Purim? Why can't we have 1 day? You can't ask a kasha to every other yontif, because every other yontif is a Sveika de Yoma. We're not sure which day it is, and therefore Sveika de Yoma, we keep 2 days. Oh, but Be'etzim, it's 1 day. Really, it's 1 day. Here, it was Masakin originally. The original institution of Chazal's Takana was 2 days. And the Shaila is why? Why do we need 2 days? The Heilige Chassam Sofer Aboisai, remember this, on the day of Purim. This has got to be the greatest Chassam Sofer you ever saw in your life. Such a chizik this is. So the Heilige Chassam Sofer, because we needed the world to be holding in Torah. And we know that if there'd only be 1 day of Purim, the Yidden would be Isaac, and they'd be Isaac in mitzvahs. Not Chas v'Shalom doing anything wrong. They'd be Isaac mitzvahs. They'd be in the Shlachmanas. They're Isaac in the Suda. They're getting drunk. Matanis Lev Yoinim, Kriyas HaMagillah. They're Isaac b'mitzvahs hayoim. That's beautiful. Oh, but who's sitting and steiging with the Baba Mitzvah? Who's sitting and steiging and learning Torah? So the Heilige Chassam Sofer, if the world, as we know, We know this famously from the Heilige Nefesh HaChaim. From Chaim Volozhiner in Shad Dalet, where the Nefesh HaChaim brings down that if one moment would be in the world without a Yid learning Torah, the world would go back to Torah Vavo, would go back to nothing the way it was before. That's why we need 2 days of Purim, because we need somebody in the world sitting and steiging, keeping up the world. Rabbi Isai, remember, because the Chassam Sofer also told us that if you learn between Megillah by night and the Megillah by day, your vaday muftach lo yishu ben olam haba. It's an unbelievable thing. Whatever the chizuk of the Megillah gives is unbelievable. Whatever the chizuk of all the mitzvahs Hayom does is amazing. But remember the simple act, it's not a simple act, but the act of opening up a sefer, whether it's a Chumash, whether it's a Shulchan Aruch, whether it's a Mishnah, it's a Shulchan Aruch, a Gemara, a Rashba, doesn't make a difference. You're sitting and you're steiging in Torah is the greatest thing that you can do in the world. There is nothing greater than that, and that keeps up the world. And that's the Chassam Sofer is why we have 2 days of Purim. Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow, Rabbi Isai, we'll finish off the shilas of davening when you're drunk. We'll talk about it Erev Shabbos this year and again in Yerushalayim, and of course the traveling. Have a wonderful day.